What is up, Cabbage Crew? It is Matt and John here, reviewing The Dragon Prince, Episode 5, An Empty Throne, right? Empty Throne, yeah.
An Empty Throne.
And so far, I would say last episode was my favorite episode. This might be... I don't know if it's my favorite episode or not, but it was a very good episode in my opinion.
It's very good.
Yeah, we'll just kind of jump right to it. I think overall the episode was very good. A lot of positive stuff, and a lot of things are starting to. We're learning as we go, so a lot of things are starting to make more sense for us. So, episode starts with Viren going to a small room. You don't get to see his face.
It was probably his study or something.
His study, yeah. He does something and another small room opens that has butterflies in it.
He pushes a
He does
button.
something. He pushes a button. I was like, it was some type of magical thing, or maybe he just pushes a button. He does some type of magical stuff. He literally just presses a button. Yeah, so he does that, and butterflies are there. It seems like every animal in this world has some type of an ability that we're meeting, which is kind of cool. And we were kind of talking ahead of time, and it's like, I think we don't really know at this point what that is all about. I feel like because it was like a shadowy figure when he went up to the butterflies and then he left the room and it was just him, I'm assuming that is them telling us that something's going on with his physical appearance, right? Either he's another type of, he's not a human and he's something else, which would be very interesting because if he's not an actual human, he's the one that seems like started the not the war, but the climax of where we're at with killing the dragon and it kind of coming to where it's at now. So I am going to predict that he's not actually a human, and maybe he is actually very old, and he is part of the group that started the war 1,000 years ago. And he is trying to now end it by using the human king.
Well, then that begs the question of, then how did Harrow and Viren know each other from childhood?
Again, it might change his physical appearance. I don't know. Like, he might be able to, again, this is all theorizing, but like the butterflies might allow him to change what his physical appearance is, right? As in he can grow as well.
But isn't Viren and Harrow, like, weren't they like buddy from childhood, like same age?
Yeah. So I'm assuming like by just, it's not like if you're going to change your physical appearance, you don't necessarily have to be a 40-year-old man because you're a 1,000 old, whatever he is. So he might change his physical appearance to be knowing the prince was going to become the king, be like, I want to get close to the prince, become best friends with the eventually Lord.
Maybe.
Lord, I'm just over here theorizing, but like, I'm like, I could see that being a thing. That, or he's just an old man and wants to look younger. I don't know. Yeah, but I will say that was an interesting scene. I'm starting to learn a little bit more about him
because we just don't know, and I'm sure we will know. And so it's just one of those things where they just like sprinkle in just a little bit of mystery here and there to have the audience guess what that could be. And it's something that like it was only like a 2-minute scene, something that could be forgetful, but then it's gonna get brought back up later. And so I'm like, oh, that's what that meant. So
yeah, I wish they gave us a little bit more at the end of the episode about that. I will say, but yeah. So the episode really starts with after that scene, it starts with the trio, and they showed bait next to, and we've kind of looked this up. The key of Erebus is what it's called. We're just gonna call it the cube. Make it easier. Because we're probably going to say it like 19 times in this episode. So we're just going to call it the cube. We know what it's called, the key of Erebus. But or maybe that's not even how you pronounce it. But I don't remember them saying what it's called. So I don't think they know what it is yet. So I don't.
And I'm sure, I'm sure a certain someone that follows this channel pretty extensively
He'll tell us.
Will say, do take your notes. Take notes.
No. Hey, I have my notes right here. But I will say
we have the notes too. We got
I will
notes.
say we're learning things as we go. So so a lot of things that we might not even know, or maybe they mention it once, become really big. We'll know eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're getting there. We're just learning. I'm sure it's the same when we watch people watch Avatar: Last Airbender, and they're like, Katara, she's her mom's like left her or something, and you were like, no, it's Katara, and her mom died. So we get it. So but anyway, bait glows up, which I thought was really interesting. Or I'm sorry, it glows when bait's next to it. Which I thought was really interesting, showing that bait is, again, either maybe he has a strong source of a primal source. I don't know which one was glowing up. I should have wrote that down. I think it was maybe the water one. Yeah, so and maybe that just means that the animals, because later on in that episode it glows again when the bigger fish comes up. So maybe the animals are a big source, or maybe the water, because it seems like the source of the element, I guess you could say, has to be in presence to use the magic. So maybe the water are just creatures from water, like the frogs and like the fish, which would be interesting as well. So yeah, I thought that was like an interesting little tease there.
Yeah. Then it's like the sprinkling of explanations to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I like a lot. One thing I love about this episode is that it brings up 2 or 3 things earlier, and then they come back around towards the end. One of them is the lightning scene that we're about to talk about, where Caleb's playing around with one of the primal stones, and he starts having, he starts to use one of the magic. I actually love how they do it. They have her they have Rayla go on by herself, and then she comes back and she hears help, and he runs back. And he's like in the middle too, and he's like, ah! I actually like that a lot.
Yeah.
I think that scene really worked. But that comes back around later on in the episode. So I think that's a great way of showing us new things. Either if it's a lesson or something that we know about the character, learn about the world, the magic, whatever, and then having it come back around in the episode. I think that's just good storytelling, good writing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any which way about that scene that you like?
I mean, I thought it was kind of risky for him just to throw it at her because it could have killed her.
I'm gonna throw it at you now.
Like, here you go. So yeah, I mean, it just seemed like it could have, like, because he's just practicing his magic, like he doesn't know what it's gonna do. But good thing it didn't do anything to her except just like a lot of static electricity, and her hair was all ablaze and frizzy and staticky, and she was very annoyed. And so I will say on a lesser tone, because we're if we see comparisons, we're gonna call it out.
Yeah, 100%.
I thought that scene reminded me, it wasn't like so similar, but it did remind me of the waterbending scroll.
Okay.
Where they're practicing on her own, for Katara, her own, and then like Callum on his own, like figuring out his magic magic skills, and like Katara, like she has like instructions to learn her waterbending on her own. It just reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And so
it reminded me of a scene. Sorry to cut you off there. It reminded me of a scene because, again, they use like the element of like, this show does it just as much as Avatar, it seems like, at least in the first season. They use comedy to show to explain something. So there was an episode, and maybe this was the same episode, maybe it's exactly what you're talking about, where she was practicing the water whip and it whacked Momo in the butt. They made a little like funny joke about it. And it's like, it's showing that she's practicing, she's intrigued, she's interested, but then you're also, it's not just her in the background practicing while they're sitting there. Like they're throwing comedic elements into it. They're making it part of the story. So that was like a cool, like, it's like one, which I'm thinking it's very interesting, is that one of the primal sources is air, I believe, right?
No.
Oh, is it the sky? It's the sky.
Sky.
The sky, sorry. And I guess thunder and lightning is included in that.
Makes sense.
Because it's the sky, which is really interesting. So he's like practicing, and then they make it into a comedic moment, and then it comes back around at the end of the episode as well to show like he's not necessarily know what he's doing, but he's able to use some of the intrigueness of him practicing to come back around and actually help them, which is pretty cool. So the and the funny thing I kind of chuckled at, but at the same time I was like, I don't know. The bread thing came back around.
I loved it.
But I liked it. But then when they drop it on a okay, I know another pet peeve of mine. All right, we talk about my pet peeves all the time. One thing I will say I don't like when movies, shows do this, and Avatar has probably done it, is when they make a joke, and then they make it an unrealistic, like really a bread would never break a stone. And I know that's nitpicking, but I was like, part of me was like, that's not like, this is a realistic world. They're trying to be as real as possible, right? This is like, this is not like a cartoon. This is not Rugrats. This is not like Hey Arnold, right? This is a realistic, mature world that they've created that has sprinkles of fun, a little bit childish sometimes, which is fine, like Avatar. But for me, it's like, it almost takes me out of the comedic moment by them breaking a piece of stone. That's all.
I hear you. I did not see it that way. I can understand you seeing that way. For me, it was like, okay, this is just an added metaphor. Like, yeah, did it actually do it? Yeah, it did. But it was just to emphasize of how hard that bread was.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, would it regularly happen? No. But I just saw it as like, oh, this is just an added to the metaphor of like, this looks like a club.
Yeah. No, I like the scene overall. I thought it was know. All right, well, let's go to the empty throne room scene or empty throne scene, which I thought was a pretty good scene.
It was very good.
Kind of a back and forth argument / an argument between Varen and what was the aunt's name? Aunt Maya? Amaya. Aunt Amaya, who I'm starting to like a lot. Them two are having an argument about what to do with the throne. She obviously knows the children are still alive, so she wants to, she wants to find them and then bring them home. He is semi trying to, I wouldn't say manipulator. I think that's a little bit later, but he's trying to make it look like he's not the bad guy. He's trying to do the best for the kingdom.
I think this is where the manipulation does start. Okay. I'll disagree. Because he'll say like, here, I don't want the throne. If you want it,
true. Okay,
you can take it. You can be Queen Regent. I can go to the High Council and the Pentarchy or whatever he said. The other kingdoms in the area, I think is what he was saying. Which is like, I'd like to know more about actually like how like the government structures are in the region, because he kind of like hinted at that, and so yeah, I mean, I would say that's where the manipulation with Amaya does start, is what I would argue.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's definitely. She is definitely, I guess you could say, seeing through. Like, I don't know if there's already pre-beef there, but like it seems as though she came in knowing like you are shady, and I'm not allowing this, like.
Yep. She's not into the, well, and we're going to talk about it later. She's not into the feeding of the BS.
Yes.
The Viren is
Yes. But I just wonder if, like, so they've known each other for a very long time. I just wonder if she's always had something against him, or she's always known he's a little bit of a shady person, or maybe she knows something that we don't, that everyone else doesn't know either.
yeah.
It is just kind of
Yeah, because she sees like, you are opportunistic. You will take
right,
advantage of this,
right.
and so there had to be. And I agree with you. I think something had to happen in the past where like Viren did take advantage of a particular person or situation to benefit himself.
Yeah, agreed. Um, so yeah, I think that scene was really good. Goes back to the trio and the trio and the frog. I know. Glow Toad is what they call him.
Yep.
Which they explain that he's a delicious and that fish want to eat him. Which
Yeah.
once they said that, I was like, okay, there's gonna be something going on here. Like he's gonna fall in the water, and they're like they're already setting that up. But again, it is just additional things that they're giving us. Like, oh, interesting. Like
Yep.
certain things that they're feeding us to, I guess you could say, feeding us to expand the world and to allow us to understand how these people think, how the world is. So they do a little 20 questions because Raylo like is about to throw up on the boat.
Yep.
And she hints it earlier too when they're on land. She's like, "Let's walk."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Oh no, we have a boat right here." And obviously she wants to walk, but they get her to be on the boat, and she's about to throw up. And I thought some of that was like hand fed. Like, okay, we get it. But
Well, because she didn't want to go on the boat to begin with.
that's what I'm saying. Like it was clear that it's almost like the writers were like trying to like make it so. I don't know. I don't think this was necessarily the bright point of the writing here. But they end up, she's on the boat and they're doing like a 20 questions type of thing to make her not think about the waves in the boat and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she's asked about her parents and she says they're dead.
Yeah.
Which they're not. But we'll get to that.
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler alert. But I thought that was just interesting. I don't know. I don't really. To back of my, not gonna. I didn't like love that scene. What do you think about that whole sequence?
Well, I thought it was needed to explain again. It's about the sprinkles of future events to come and future storytelling and world building, where she talks that that they question like, is Zadia all magic everywhere?
Yes.
So like, and she says yes, it is. It's just like how there's air around here, like
right,
like there's magic in Zadia.
It's like nature's everywhere.
Exactly.
Everywhere.
So I thought it was needed in that sense. Like it's just a little sprinkle of that, but like I mostly agree with you. I just wanted to add that in.
It reminds me of, and not a similar scene, but it reminds me of in Thor 1 when Thor and Jane are sitting near the campfire and they're talking about Asgard and the world of Asgard.
Yes.
I don't love that scene, but I understand why. Where he's like magic and technology are one and the same from Asgard. Like it's all kind of this. It's not really magic. It's like our version of technology.
Yep.
And it's like I don't love the scene, but I know why they did it. And they kind of sometimes stories have to feed you something information just by someone telling something, like just by someone saying it. And it's like that wasn't the best way of doing it, but I understand why you did it.
Right.
I feel like the same about this scene, where it's like, hey, let's play 20 questions. Tell us about the land you're from.
Right.
Oh, what about your parents? They're dead. Oh. It's like, okay, 2 quick things that we just learned, but they one will come back around eventually, and one does come back around in the episode.
Yeah.
So I get that. Then you have, it kind of goes back to the gravesite of Callum's mother.
Ezrin's mother? Callum's the stepson?
Yeah, so
There's Amaya, that's Amaya's sister.
Which I thought was, maybe I'm wrong here. I thought that was Callum's aunt.
First of all,
Callum's aunt, sorry. I thought that was Callum's aunt.
Step aunt is my guess. It's at least Ezran's aunt.
Interesting. Yes. Okay. Because maybe you're right. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at the color of the skin. I mean, she's white, and I'm assuming that her sister was like, she's high ranked, and her sister fell in love with the king, and she's a high ranked officer. So her sister was just maybe a person, or maybe she was, whatever that was. But then her sister fell in love with the king because the king and her sister were like both kind of leaders of their specific area. I might be wrong, but that's why when I thought when she was going to the gravesite, she was going to the gravesite of which was the queen. Hence why she has.
No, okay, wait. No, I'm like, here's my brain just talking.
Mm-hmm.
So, Harrow and Amaya are brother sister. Yes, they are.
They are.
I'm like 80% positive.
See, I thought
because that's what the aunt signified. Like Ezran said that. Like Ezran's like Aunt Amaya. And so, like,
yeah, but an aunt doesn't need an aunt could be, they could be saying aunt as in their mother who is now passed away's sister, not their father's sister. And Ezran's young enough where he was probably
Ezran's father's sister,
or his mother's sister, which would be his stepmother. But Ezran's so young that he was probably one when the parents got together.
Comment below. Who's right?
Comment below. This is something that we might have missed, or we might just not know because they haven't explored it yet. But an aunt could easily be, like, for instance, I have a stepfather. He has a brother. I call him uncle. I don't, and I've known my stepfather.
Not everybody's like that, though.
Right, but I think Ezran's 8.
Yeah.
So his parents, like the actual queen that was his mother, probably died very young, like when he was very young.
Sure.
Like 1.
Yeah,
so he only knows like Callum's family as like his aunt.
I think
the step thing makes it difficult.
No, because Callum's parents died, right?
No, his
yes, that's why
his mother died, and I'm assuming his father died. Yes, his mother being the person that they're visiting at the gravesite. That's his mother because she died.
Okay,
that's why. Again, I don't know. I just assumed that. I was not assuming it was Harrow's first wife. That was also Ezran's mother.
No, I'm just saying. No. I mean, it might be, but I literally thought it was Aunt Amaya's sister, also King Harrow's sister.
Okay,
so they're all siblings. That's why
I don't. To be honest, I would look it up and look at like a tree, but I don't want to spoil or anything because I don't know if there's another sister involved.
Anyway,
anyway. And again, I'm only looking. I hate to say this, by the color of their skin. Like, that's all. I mean, truly, like she is a white character, and for her to have a brother that's black would be from the same parents. Would be not really realistic. That's all. Not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it wouldn't be realistic in the sense of like one straight up black and the other one straight up white. Like that's all.
I mean, sure.
But, that's all. Okay. Anyway, yes. Great scene. Oh no, it really is a good scene.
We at least know based off of the dialogue of that scene that it's at least Amaya's sister.
Yes, it's Amaya's sister, who also she also knew Varen, because they were talking about her together and how like they're
talk about a powerful scene real quick about Amaya doing sign language. It was like a kind of like prayer or like like a talking to her
Mm-hmm.
sister.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought that was like pretty moving. With especially with the music in the background. Like
Yeah, and
it
if
was
you didn't, if you didn't notice, what's his name? Gren, I think his name was.
Commander Gren.
Gren was not saying anything when she did that, so that was more like a one-on-one talk.
Correct.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the whole like manipulation part, right? Of like I agree with you that he was trying to manipulate earlier too, but of Varen talking to her,
Yep.
saying that he'll have his kids go find them and blah blah blah, and she's probably worried in the sense of he's doing something again
Right.
shady, so she's like, Gren will do it. Gren will lead the Force. Funniest scene I think so far in the whole series, when he's like doing he's sitting there and he's like, we can do that, but not your way. We'll do it my way. Gren will do it. Oh, I'm Gren. he's like saying what she's saying, and then she's like, Gren will lead the forces. Oh, I'm Gren. I loved that. I thought that was I had a pause and I laughed for like, it reminded me of like the Toph stuff. It just reminded me so much of like, oh man, like, we'll write her a letter and maybe we can send it to her. Well, she can't read. Oh yeah, okay. Or no, she can't write. Okay, well, we can send another letter to the Toph and send it to her. Well, we're gonna run into a similar issue. like it was the same thing. Like they made a comedic scene out of the fact that she's deaf by like her including someone who's doing the sign language, and to be that person being like, oh, that's me. I thought that was so funny.
Also, I just like glanced down. So, I believe Maya's sister is Queen Sarai.
Okay,
So
that
she
would
was
be
queen.
that's Callum's mother.
Sure.
I don't know about that.
It was at least Harrow's wife.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But they call her Queen Sarai.
Okay. So yeah, so I think that was a really good scene.
That was great.
So Bait, going back to Bait.
Whoa. We're not done yet.
Oh, okay. Ooh, all right. Hit me with what you got.
What about the manipulation tactic? You didn't talk about that.
I did a little bit. You can go ahead.
No, about the breach and her going back and the plan.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So the plan that Viren gives to Amai, he's like, the breach in the on the border, that you need Amaya, you need to go back and hold it, because if it breaches, then the enemies will come in and attack and invade. And Soren and Claudia will lead the expedition to find the boys. And then Amaya's like, I'll go to the breach, but Commander Gren, which you mentioned, will lead the expedition to find the boys.
Yeah.
And it was just a very he called, or she called a lot of his BS, and they even like made a joke with it about like someone needs to find in referencing to Viren, like, someone please grab a stable boy from out yonder, because they need to pick up a lot of bull.
Oh yeah. I like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mentioned everything else besides the breach part. Yeah, it was very much like, hey, if we do this expedition, go ahead, but then you're going to be abandoning the breach.
Yep.
And so he tried to like put that in her head, and she was like, okay, I will go back to the breach, but this is how it's going to roll. And that's where the Gren part comes in. So,
right.
Apologize for my dog freaking out. So they go back again. It goes back to the bait scene. There's a waterfall. Bait falls into the water. That's where this, and again, the we'll call it the cube, glows up because a large creature very much gives me the Anagu vibes.
Yep. The Nagi.
The Nagi. From Avatar. And yeah, so the cube lights up again. So I just think that when there's creatures, either it's the creatures that are helping the source, maybe that they have a lot of the energy in them, whatever it is. But whenever there's a creature that has to do with water, the cube lights up.
Right.
So the glow toad and then this thing. Rayla has her moment, I guess you could say redemption arc. Not redemption arc, but her moment of fighting her fear of water to save Bait. Which is funny that they call him Bait because that breed of frog is known for being bait.
Right.
So yeah, she saves him. It's kind of developing their relationship a little bit between Bait and her. They had a little stare off the episode before. So it's like we're getting a little bit of love between those two characters.
Right.
And then the way they can stop the fish is by coming back around, Caleb using the lightning to strike the fish while she jumps out of the water.
Which is pretty cool and also kind of sinister.
Yeah, because they showed the fish was dead, right?
All the fish just came up.
Yeah, it was...
And then Rayla's just, or Toad, or Bait, I forget it was Bait or Rayla, but they, like, their head just popped out of the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you see
all the fish? Yes. Oh, that's funny, because when I was watching that, I was thinking that he, like, broke up into pieces. I was not thinking about all the other fish.
Right.
Yeah, which is kind of sinister, but at the same time, I'm sure people fish there too.
Right.
Yeah, I think overall a good scene.
Yeah.
So, then it goes back to Soren. Again, what?
You mean Gren?
No, it goes back to Baron Soren is his name, right? And Gren.
Well, Soren's Viren's son.
His son. Yeah, he was there, remember?
Was he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're talking, and he's like, Soren's going to lead the expedition. I forgot if Claudia was there or not, but he's like, Soren's going to lead the expedition, and Gren's like, oh no, like Amaya wanted me to lead it, and he's like, well,
no,
about that,
I mean,
we're gonna. And he's like, I want to have a meeting. What?
No, you're forgetting an important part.
What am I forgetting?
Before Amaya leaves, she says, "Don't trust Viren," and Soren wasn't there in that conversation.
Oh! It was a one-on-one conversation.
Well, it wasn't a one-on-one. It was with Gren and the two night guards.
Okay.
And so
that must have been earlier, though.
It was the same scene.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah. So, Amaya's like, "Don't trust Viren."
Mm-hmm.
Blah blah blah. And like, because she's like, it could be tomorrow, it could be a year from now. But just like always, watch your back with Viren. And then Amaya leaves, and of course, Viren takes advantage of the situation, and then
yes, and he's like, Soren's taking over,
right?
And okay, so I forgot. And yeah, so then he's like, we're gonna have a little meeting later on, which it was really how that was. We'll have a little meeting later on. I would have been like, no. But that is what it is. I will say one thing I actually forgot to mention with and I think this was either cut back to it or maybe it was after. But back with the trio, when she's like, the boat goes away, the boat's going away, and she's like, well, I guess. Remember that scene?
You cut out, Matt.
Yeah, you cut out too. The boat goes this way, and she's like, I can't go on the boat anymore. Like, I would have done it. I faced my fear, but I guess we can't go on the boat anymore. And then it drifts back around and goes next to him. And she's like, I thought that was really well done.
It was good.
That was good.
And an important thing to remember back into the conversation with Viren and Gren, Viren, and it just like clicked. I'm like, oh, Viren doesn't know that Corvus is already tracking the boys.
Yes,
which is important. I was like, oh, right. So it was
right.
a good reminder. It was a good reminder. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming the next couple episodes that's gonna come ahead. Yeah, and then we're kind of jumping around here a little bit, but she Rayla talks to them and tells them that her parents are still alive and that they actually failed and kind of ran away to protect the dragon egg. And that's why when she found the egg, she kind of wants to redeem herself by bringing it back to show that, hey, like the dragon egg, my parents weren't a complete failure. And there might be more to that. Like I don't know if they actually ran or not. There might be more than that.
There probably is.
They didn't fail.
And I will say that scene stuck out to me because I was like, oh, like this is actually like
it's personal,
deep stuff for a kids show, in the sense of like she's like, yeah, they're not dead, but I wish they were. Like, like what? Like to a 7-year-old, 8-year-old watching this, like that's kind of like pretty negative energy. Like I'm sure there's gonna be some type of redemption later. Like I get it, but like just having that thought be put out there, and I get what they're trying to do. Of like, oh, you might not like your parents now, like if you're a kid. This is like a
right
comparing here. Like as a kid, like you might like let's just say you got punished for like I don't know, like watching TV after your bedtime, whatever.
Right.
And then like they're like go to bed, turn it off, or like they take your phone away, stuff like that. You might not like your parents in the moment, but like, do you want them dead? No, like.
Well, but I mean, it could also be even more than that. Like there are some and obviously we're getting into it now, but there are more. Because I wouldn't say that's like sometimes children do feel like their parents are letting them down in a sense. So there might be. I think it's sometimes a kid doesn't understand the full world of what a parent has to deal with. So maybe there's more to this, like that she finds out later, and it's like, oh, you guys didn't run, you did something to save my life, and it was either the egg or me. Like there might be. There might be.
No, that's not what I'm getting at, though. I'm getting at like, I think saying you want your parents dead is very extreme.
It is extreme, but and I get what you're saying, like taking it in the context of your own life. But I will say, for her to think that, I don't think is crazy because.
No, I'm not saying. That's not what I'm saying.
I know that's not what you're saying. I'm saying
audience.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I'm coming back around, and I'm saying that I don't think her saying her parents are dead is big, because if that dragon only hatches egg every 1,000 years, like she said, and her parents are now looked at as failures, like she might feel like, wow, you guys really failed, not only like everybody, and she might feel that same way.
Well, she could have just said, "Oh, I'm ashamed of them."
Yeah,
so that would have been a more realistic.
Yeah,
like fine. It's negative, but a fine negative emotion say about your parents, rather than like, "Oh, I wish they were dead." Like, I don't know. That rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay, she is a child there too. So, I mean, kids say that all the time, where it's like like you just said, like my parents didn't let me go out to my friends, go to the movies with my friends. I wish they were dead, where like she's saying that to two kind of strangers, and it's like her parents let down the entire race of her people. So,
right. I mean, here, sure. But there's also like with Finding Nemo, where like in the beginning, where like Marlin won't let him touch the butt or whatever, and
we're getting censored now. God,
I'm just saying, like, and Nemo says like, "I hate you,"
right?
Like, and like you feel that you feel it in your heart, you feel it, that's like as extreme as it should get. Not saying I wish you were dead. Like that.
Yes.
I just think maybe I am not.
It was. You could say
Maybe I'm
the right.
overthinking it. Maybe
No,
I'm
no, I
overthinking.
don't think you are. I think the conclusion would be, I think the writers, and they've done this a few times, wrote something in to hand feed you something to show
Sure.
the like we know that she is very extremely negative about her family or her parents because of that. She could have probably said something else or explained it differently, but that's how they wrote it, to make it to be extreme so we would understand.
I'm okay. Like I'm not for us, it's fine. I'm just saying the target audience for like an 8 to 10-year-old should not be the case. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I guess that comes back into what's the target audience?
Well, I would say it's minimum that age for sure.
You think? Okay.
Yes. Minimum, and then maximum's like 27-year-old, 32-year-old people like us.
50-year-olds. All right, cool. Cool. I would say maximum 25. I'm like, like, all right, well, I guess the series is fun. All right, well, the end of the series, they talk about the wristband a little bit more, but I think that we have not found out enough about the wristband. We're slowly learning about it, so it's just at this point we're just learning so much, a little bit at a time, sprinkling in, and I'm sure we'll find out what it is by the end of the first season, maybe into the second. So it goes back to, I love this scene actually. Varen walks into the room and he's like, "Oh, you have any issues?" And he's like, "Well, I thought we were gonna meet." And I forgot exactly what Gren said. He's like, I thought we were gonna meet. We're gonna meet and talk about the situation with your kids leaving." And then it like pans back. He's like, "Also, I don't like the fact that I'm hung up." He's like,
it was well directed.
It was very well done.
Very well directed.
Very well done. I really feel like the highlight of this episode was Gren. Like they very much made Gren into like a great comedic relief / good like a good character. Like before, like last episode, we were introduced to him and it was like, okay, it's the second command that does the sign language. Cool. Yep. And that is like the interpreter. But this was like Gren stole the show in like multiple scenes. So so yeah, and then you've come to find out that there's another prisoner. I thought it was
surprising.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be the king. I really did.
You
when
did.
It panned away, I thought it was gonna be the king. I was like, oh, another prisoner. Completely forgot about that. Oh, so
I wasn't surprised. I agree. My immediate thought was also the king, but I wasn't surprised on who it was.
Yeah. What was his name?
Runan.
Runan. I didn't write him down.
Yeah. Runan.
Yep. Runan. Yeah, and I guess we're gonna get a little bit more with his character because he was important character for the first 3 episodes, and then haven't seen him since. So cool. Well, overall, I thought it was a really good episode. Probably my I will say this: all 5 episodes have been strong in their own ways.
I agree.
I don't think there has been a weak episode, because I was going to say I think this is the strongest episode, and I was like, well, no, I still think it's 4, but I'm like, well, like every episode's been solid. I don't even know where I would put this in it. I don't think there's been a weak episode yet.
I'd probably give it a third favorite, maybe.
Third. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, the first 2 episodes were, I don't think, as good in the sense that we didn't know the characters yet, so we were just kind of still. It was a lot of knowledge, but now that we know all of that, and I can look back and be like, I appreciate certain things they did. So, but yeah, well, guys,
please subscribe.
Please subscribe. But also, what was the thing we asked in the comment below before
about Queen Sarai?
Yes, definitely comment below about that, and let us know. I know there's a couple of you that have been very good at commenting, letting us know things that we missed or whatever it might be. We really appreciate that. So let us know how that dynamic. But I don't want to look anything up because I don't want anything to get spoiled. Right. I know if I did that in Avatar: Last Airbender season 1, I would have gotten spoiled immediately on like multiple things. So that's why I'm not trying to look up like a family tree or anything like that. But if you can just let us know how that how that family dynamic works, that'd be awesome. So we just have the knowledge, or maybe we shouldn't know. If we shouldn't know, then don't let us know. Don't tell us if it's something that we shouldn't know. But if it's something that we missed, let us know. And yeah, subscribe.
Please subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. Tell your relatives.
Go into their computers, log them out of theirs and their YouTube, and log them into their YouTube, and then subscribe as well.
That's right.
All right, guys. Again, Wednesdays and Fridays, 8 a.m. are these reviews. We're going to keep them up. And then next week, we're going to be doing Monday, episode 9, and then Wednesday, episode 9. And then on Friday, we're going to be doing the entire first season, a review of the entire first season. So, and then we're going to be doing reactions after that. So,
it's going to be fun.
Appreciate you guys checking in.